Welcome to episode 196 of CppCast, the first podcast for C++ developers by C++ developers. I'm your host, Rob Irving, joined by my co-host, Jason Turner. Jason, how's it going today?
I'm all right, Rob. How are you doing?
Doing okay. You got anything exciting coming up soon?
Well, there's conference news. We'll talk about that a little bit later.
Yeah.
But the main thing that I have coming up at the moment is still just making sure that I'm ready for Core C++.
Right.
Coming up in May here. Feels very, very soon to me.
Yeah, those conferences are coming up really soon.
It's basically 2 weeks and I'll be in Israel.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's jump right into the feedback then. At top of every episode, I'd like to read a piece of feedback. This week we got a tweet from Paul Drake, and he says, heard the interview with Viktor Zverevich on CppCast and decided to fuzz format lib, found an issue, and it was fixed upstream within 2 hours, which is pretty impressive of Viktor. Pretty good response time.
Yeah, and fuzzing is amazing thing, and I imagine a project like Format Lib is one of those that you could probably just leave a fuzzer running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, like libc++ does for a lot of their standard algorithms and stuff.
Do they run a fuzzer nonstop against it?
They run fuzzers nonstop, waiting for a bug to come up.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'd love to hear your thoughts about the show. You can always reach out to us on Facebook, Twitter, or email us at feedback@cppcast.com. And don't forget to leave us a review on iTunes or subscribe on YouTube. Joining us today is Fred Tingaud and Joel Falcou. Fred is a principal software engineer at Murex, where he maintains the C++ UI and front-end APIs. He is also the creator of QuickBench.com, co-organizer of CPPP conference, co-host of Paris C++ Meetup, and organizer of Include C++. His interests range from code efficiency and readability to UI ergonomics. And Joel is a computer science engineer, PhD associate professor at University Paris-Saclay. He is the creator and president of C++ FRUG, C++ Meetup host, and international speaker. Joel has been actively participating in the C++ international community with more than 7 years of international talks at BoostCon, C++ Now, C++ Russia, CppCon, and Meeting C++. He's also a member of the C++ Now and CppCon program committee. He is a member of the French national body of the ISO Standard Committee for C++ since 2014. Fred and Joel, welcome to the show.
Hello, guys.
I feel a bit underqualified. I don't have any PhDs or I don't lead any national bodies or run any conferences or anything like that. How about you, Rob?
No, I do not either.
The first two is the most complex one. After that, it's rather easy.
Right.
Okay, well, Fred and Joel, we got a couple news articles to discuss, and then we'll start talking more about the CPPP conference, which we just mentioned, and some other projects you're working on. Sound good?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So this first one is ClangJIT, enhancing C++ with just-in-time compilation. And this link includes a link to download a full PDF describing what they're doing with ClangJIT. I did not have time to read through the whole PDF paper, but it sounds pretty interesting what they're doing, integrating Clang in order to do just-in-time, compilation of templates, specializations.
Yes. That's what I can say.
It's actually very interesting because when the Clang project started, one of the very specific things that Clang has different with respect to GCC, it was actually an instantiation of some library for compilation things. So you have libclang, and Clang is built on top of that. And there was quite a few times that people were actually wondering whenever we would actually get there, because if your compiler is actually a C++ library, why not just call it directly from your code, right?
Right.
So that's a pretty cool advance on that. So that's I skimmed through the paper, which looks like very interesting, but it's really deep.
Yeah.
I also skimmed through the paper, but I am not a professor who is used to reading these things.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, but they had very nice charts.
Yeah, very important.
Yeah.
It's actually, for the sake of our listeners, it is a attribute that you can apply to any function that says this is a function that I want compiled at runtime.
Yep.
And then whatever values you pass to it become a template value parameter, right? Effectively.
Yeah, sort of, yes.
Sort of, yes. And it does it at runtime. It seems like it's, from my perspective, difficult to wrap my mind around exactly where and when and how I would use this. But on the other hand, I'm like, maybe something like ChaiScript, like my scripting engine, would now become trivial to implement in a project like this.
Yeah, could also be a way to maybe get rid of, actual DLL or SO-based plugin. So you can just shove, stuff into a function and you spit it out when you need it instead of having to dynamically load some things, which may be a way to actually get out of this, there's a lot of talks about getting, add-on or plugin standardized and it never get anywhere. So that could be an actual, other way to do it. So you can, store your ready-to-be compiled function somewhere and just, pick them around when you need them and let the JIT things do its works.
I think the downside, though, is you are tying yourself 100% to Clang for your compiler.
Could be worse.
Could be worse. I'm also very curious, because I didn't see this, but I also didn't look very closely at how big the binary is when you're done.
Yeah, that's a question.
Right, because you're including the compiler in your application, basically, right?
That's how I understand it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure Clang is that big. I mean, if you have a Hello World, it's huge, but I don't think it's that big. The LLVM suite is huge. But Clang itself, I'm not sure.
I guess then there's the other question of how much of the standard library needs... No, I guess it wouldn't need standard library because all that would be resolved at compile time?
Yeah.
Huh. Well, one of you should go out and experiment with this and report back to us how well it works.
Yeah, if it's metaprogramming, it's Joel to work.
Oh,
yes. We nominate him.
As a tribute.
Yeah. Okay, next thing we have is a post on the Visual C++ blog. This one is authored by STL, who we've had on the show before. And, you think they might take a little break after releasing Visual Studio 2019, but they're already talking about what's going to be in update 16.1. And this post is STL going over all of the C++ 17 and 20 features and fixes in Visual Studio 2019, and there's a lot here.
Yeah, and so to be clear, I think this is 16.0. This is the already released
That's true,
fixes, right?
Yeah, I think there was another post that's talking about something in 16.1. That actually, I think the other post was referencing that they're including Clang in 16.1.
Yes, right.
Yeah. So if you want to compile Clang from Visual Studio, they're making that possible, which is great.
Yeah, out of the box now, yeah.
Right. But was there anything specific in this post that anyone wanted to call out with the 17 and 20 features and fixes?
Well, it's
Go ahead.
It's a massive list. I think that the main thing that we can get out of that is, we clearly see for a couple of years now, maybe more than that. There is a real, step up of the quality of the implementation of Visual Studio and the library on Windows. I think it's a very, a huge amount of work from STL and his team and all the guys involved into the compilers. So I myself went from, using Visual Studio on Windows when I was forced to because I needed to fix some bug on Windows to actually be able to, do my day-to-day development directly with it and without, missing much. And that's something which is really, really, it's a huge improvement, especially when you try to be, close to the New Year standard and stuff like this. So it's incredible the amount of quality improvement they got in since, I don't know, like last version or the version before.
Yeah, 2015 was the first version where
yeah.
you could really see that it was improving very fast.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, now they're already talking about all these C++20 features that they've implemented before it's officially standardized. It's pretty great.
There is one fix in here that just caught my eye and it made me laugh. It says the standard Boyer-Moore searcher and standard Boyer-Moore Horspool searchers, copy constructors, and copy assignment operators now actually copy things. So I guess you would have
to know.
Yeah, you know. So was there must have been shared state or something if you accidentally copied the searcher object?
No.
I don't know. I want to know. I want to go back to an older version and try it and see what it did.
I think you could probably do that using GCC Explorer, GCC Compiler Explorer. I don't remember which version they have.
Yeah, probably could do that, depending on how much of those searchers are implemented in the header.
Right. One more thing I wanted to call out is in his opening paragraph, he mentions that they implemented more of Characon header, which he refers to as C++17's final boss. I've not heard it referred to that way before. Does anyone really know what he's talking about with it being the final boss?
I don't.
I think it's one of those, headers for converting a character to something else, which may imply, taking care of stupid formats or encoding and stuff like this. And I think Charcom also has this, you take a string with a number inside, which is in hexadecimal or whatever, and it gives you the value. And I don't even want to know how many, corner cases of things that can go wrong in this situation that they have to fix, and maybe also fix in a way it'll still go fast enough.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, character conversions is clearly the place you don't really want to be. Anyway, I mean, all the people that work, like on Unicode and things like this. I mean, we should collectively, send them candies or something, because I mean, it's oh god, you don't really want to do this.
Yeah,
so
you have that on it. Yeah, definitely. I'm very happy people handle it for me.
Yeah.
Okay. Next thing we have is a trip report from ACCU. And I think this is written by a Rust developer, but he talks about how ACCU is a very C++ focused conference, which he enjoyed even as a Rust developer. And he highlighted a couple talks, one from Herb Sutter on C++ error handling, which I think is all about his proposal for changing the way we can do exceptions. Another one about C++ ranges and functional programming with the author of that functional programming C++ book that I would like to get on the show sometime.
Yes.
Yeah. Anything else you guys wanted to call out with this? Anyone make it to ACCU?
Yeah,
No.
I like the fact that we have people from other languages coming to C++ conferences and enjoying it.
Yeah.
Because, that can be very interesting to have other languages ideas coming into C++ and making us think out of the box.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I did like there was a Rust talk here that he mentions, Monotron. And if you check out that project, it made me aware of a piece of hardware that I did not know existed, which is a ARM Cortex-M4 based tiny Texas Instrument development kit that's got a VGA screen on it.
Oh.
And this is someone writing his own operating system and such in Rust for that development kit.
Oh god.
Wow.
Yeah. So I think that's tons of fun, personally. So our listeners might like that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's probably interesting, yeah.
Okay.
Now I want to buy one of these kits.
I already have a stack of Raspberry Pis and stuff that I don't use, so I stop there.
You set them up as servers for QuickBench. That's what you're supposed to do with them.
Yeah, that's an idea, yeah.
Okay. And then the last thing we have is some more conference news from CPPCon. First of all, the 2019 call for submissions is out, and the deadline it's under a month away, actually. May 20th is the deadline for submissions.
May 20th, yeah.
It's rather short this year, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. The call for submissions, I think, was sent out a little bit later than usual.
Right.
Anyway, everybody is going to send their CFP on the last day, so
Yes.
it could just be for 24 hours, and it would be the same.
Yeah,
I think, well, I mean, you all are running a conference now, and we'll talk about that more in a minute, but my understanding is the 80-20 rule as it applies to conferences is that 80% of the submissions come in 20 minutes after the deadline.
so true.
Yeah.
We should say be kind to your conference submission reviewers and try to get yours in sooner than that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was surprised. I sent one like 1 week after they opened, and it was less than 10 CFPs there
Right.
in 1 week. I would expect a lot more.
Yeah, I haven't sent mine in yet.
Well, neither do I.
Yes,
you
so
know,
you know why now.
Yeah, well, you have this vision of things where you think people are just there, waiting to pounce on the submission forms, except nobody knows already what they want to talk about anyway, so...
No, I usually know what I want to talk about. The thing is, I'm thinking, how should I write it, and should I make something better or anything? But now you can always edit them. So I usually send something the first day, thinking, okay, I'm going to improve it later if I need to. I never improve it, but at least I sent it early.
Well, so since both of you also speak regularly at conferences, I personally keep a folder of conference talk ideas. So when the next call for submissions comes up, I'm like,
yes.
oh, I'll pick that one. You do that as well?
Yeah, some
Yes.
sort, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and
And we still wait until the last minute to submit it.
Of course. Of course. I mean, And now
yeah,
everybody knows our secrets now.
Well, that might help people who say, I never have any idea what to talk about. The idea is if you come up with any idea over the next 12 months, write it down. It's not like we're all just sitting here and we immediately come up with great ideas for talks or something.
Yeah, and go to meetups, because we are organizing the conference, but we are also organizing meetups. And go to meetups and do presentations. That's a very, very good way to test it, see what sticks or not, and what to improve. I usually prepare my talks like 1 year earlier by going to a meetup and talking.
Oh, wow. I don't do it that
Like,
far out.
I have this idea, I write usually a lightning talk, I present it in 5 minutes, and if people like it, I try to do something longer.
See, okay. So I gave my first ever C++ lightning talk at my own meetup a few months ago. And I did it with the intention of, if this goes well, maybe I'll make this into a full conference talk. And it did go well, but now I'm like, my thought now is, well, if I was able to present it in 5 minutes, then what's the point of an hour conference talk? That's the problem I'm having. But so if you do that regularly, like maybe you can like give our listeners some ideas there or something.
Yeah.
Well, the first time I did it was with my talk about a partial sort. And I began with just a lightning talk about Tweetbench.
Mm-hmm.
And the last slide of the 5-minute presentation, it was like 10-minute presentation, the last slide was a result I didn't expect. So I would end up on this, like, I would end up on this result, and everybody was surprised. I had to stop there because I only had 10 minutes and no idea why I had this result.
Okay.
And then the next time I just searched into it and made a full-time presentation about why do we have this weird result, which is that partial sort can be extremely slow if you try to sort like half a container.
Is partial sort one of the ones that's allowed to allocate?
No, it doesn't.
I'm not sure.
No.
No, it doesn't need to.
No, stable sort. Sorry.
Stable sort, yes.
Yeah.
Stable sort might. But
Yeah.
actually, stable sort is very, very fast. That's another result I had. Like it's sometimes faster than quick sort.
Okay.
I would like to
That's weird.
look into that too, but I already have 2 talks ideas, and I know that sending more than 2 talks ideas at CPPCon
Nope.
can end up
Nope.
with you
Don't
having
do
4
that.
different talks in 2 days, and I definitely
Don't do that.
want to have that. Yeah.
Okay. I this is now. I need to give a disclaimer here, right? So, yes, you can submit 5 or 6 talks. There is a possibility that they will all get accepted. That has happened before. Regardless of what the conference organizers tell you, you are allowed to say, I know that you accepted 6 of my talks, but I only have time to give 2 of them. You are allowed to tell them this if they accept all 6, just so the listeners and everyone knows. I know it's easy to feel like, uh-oh, now I have to give 6 talks.
Yeah.
Yeah, been there, done that.
Yeah.
Did you?
Oh yes. Like my third year at BoothCon back in the day, submitted 5 talks, get 5s in. I mean, yeah, and Hartmut Kaiser was even, when you're down, you can just slide down, but sometimes people come up and they just, kick you in the face while you're down, and so Hartmut started the conference by reminding everybody it's still BoothCon, even if Joel was giving a talk every day. Thanks, Hartmut, Oh, well. And after that, yeah, I was submitting like max 2 of them, like just to have something if one of those that didn't stick, but no more than 2. It's like the fit, like.
Yeah, I can give 1 talk a day, and then I'm not able to do anything else during the whole day.
Oh no, yeah.
Oh no,
it wipes
you
you out,
can't.
yeah.
It's draining.
Yeah.
Rob wants to move on with the interview, but before we move past before we move past the conferences, registration is open.
Yes, so if you're not looking to submit a talk, registration is open with early bird pricing. I'm not sure if they say how long the early bird pricing is available, but get it while it's hot, I guess.
If you do submit a talk, I do recommend waiting to register. Hopefully they will tell you before early bird registration expires, but those dates should be checked.
They keep your early bird registration numbers. Like even if you have the result very late, you can still buy your ticket with early bird reduction.
If you submitted.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. That might be new for CPPCon this year, is it?
Last year too.
Oh, okay.
It's recent, but yeah, it's definitely going on for a bunch of years now. Maybe 1 or 2, yeah. I don't remember exactly. And the other thing is, if I'm not mistaken, we are moving this year.
Colorado.
Yes. We're moving to my backyard.
Yeah, oh god. So, so we are moving to Colorado, which is that way, okay.
It's that way. That's where the conference center is going to be, yes.
So that's actually cool, because I think we just exploded the amount of people we can shove into the Seattle venue.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's quite good.
Yeah, no, another thing too is I think they will probably have posters this year too. That's a very good way to go to CPPCon, and if you don't want to give your first talk, having the poster is way easier to do than giving a talk.
That's what you did your first CPPCon, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
Actually, the second one. The first one was paid by my company.
Oh, okay.
But yeah. And yeah, that's a very good way to talk with people and get the first foot in. It's easier than giving a talk.
Okay.
So there's also like 20 classes being offered this year, pre and post conferences classes. And I will be doing a post-conference class myself on Constexper.
How many is that compared to last year? Is this more classes? Did they keep growing this?
I don't know.
I think so, yeah.
It seems bigger.
Yeah, 20 is definitely bigger, yeah.
Yeah.
Somewhere around there. It's a lot.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, why don't we start off by just kind of catching up with you, Joel, since you were back on CppCast like 4 years ago, like during our first
God.
year.
Already?
Yeah. So what have you been up to since we had you on the first time?
Oh, well, the good usual things. I'm still trying to find new ways to make compilers cry. That's still on my, to-do list. Well, I spent a bunch of time working on my startup, and then I went back to actually doing, development recently, and I'm trying to catch up with all the new fancy things in 17 and 20 that I basically just, saw from afar. And I will probably submit a talk about one of our new thingy at CPPCon about more, more pressure on the compilers, and try to see how we can actually change the way we are handling some of these metaprogramming things. I followed a lot what Luis Dion and all the new guy did on this front, which is actually quite impressive. Anna's talk too, which I was basically, bowling at the slide when I was watching them on YouTube, because I was like, really, we can do that? Where I have been last year, like something like this. We are in a place now, in a time where we can actually do a lot of things using this, new way of thinking about how the compiler actually works, and trying to, making it work the way you want. I mean, now I'm on this, position that actually what we have now is we have a language, and we can script the compiler directly from the language. That's how I see the things about, context for things and metaprogramming. You basically script the compiler to do what you want to do.
Interesting.
And the cool thing is that it looks like almost normal code now. So, which is a great improvement from the thing we did before. So I've been still working on that. I have a bunch of libraries in the oven right now that will probably be released during the following months. I've been playing around with ConstExpert a lot because for a while I was thinking it was definitely the one feature that will make all the macro-based things die, and except not. So
most of the macro-based things.
Most of them. So I played a lot with all the. I had this idea of having a context-based. What's the name for that already? Was it boost predef thing?
Boost preprocessor.
No, predef.
Oh, okay.
The one that say, if you are compiling on this, or if you are compiling for Windows, thing like that, those macros
right.
OS and compilers. And I was pretty sure I could actually have something that you can actually write, like if constexpr my compiler equal GCCs and do something. And then I got by the fact that if constexpr doesn't work the way you think it works, which means that it doesn't remove the token. So
it still has to be compilable.
Yeah.
Correct code. Yes.
That's a bad idea anyway. So I was playing around with these things. I'm trying to catch up on modules because that's also a thing I really want to push forward. I've been playing around a lot, and I will probably I have a bunch of things going out later this year, still around that. And I'm trying to consume all those new information about how we should be writing C++ 17 and forwards code, because I feel like again, like in 2012, when I decided that everything I was writing needed to move to C++ 11, but sprinkling ... and auto was not enough. You had to think about rewriting the whole crap, because if not, you don't gain anything. So I'm back at this square trying to see how I can actually C++ 17 all the things.
Okay.
So, and actually we are working on the conference too. I almost forgot.
Before we talk about the conference, Fred, what projects are you working on?
Well, I have a ton of projects in my head, but it turns out organizing the conference takes a lot of time. So for the moment, most of the projects stay in my head. Still in my day job, what I do that I find very exciting is using client ID tools and building refactoring tools with that. Like I work with this massive code line that was started 30 years ago. Most of it might be still 15 years old. So the API is pretty old and you cannot change anything. You try to change something and you realize it's called 40,000 times. And so yeah, this dead parameter is going to stay because like you cannot remove it in 40,000 calls. And now I'm using client ID and building tools that are able to refactor it. And that's fantastic. I have a new job, something that wasn't possible a few years ago, and now it's completely possible. So I hope I'll be able to talk about that in incoming conferences. And somebody is going to talk about it at CPPP, even if it's not me.
Okay. I was just thinking, yeah, you have to give a talk on that from the like newbie beginner standpoint. How do I, leverage Clang Tidy to do my refactorings for me? I've seen several talks on libclang and Clang Tidy and stuff, and I feel like it's usually still feels unapproachable. Like I want the absolute beginner's guide to how to do this.
Well, you should definitely come to CPPP then, because Jeremy Dummel, who is the person who introduced me to Client ID, is going to do exactly that. A live coding, starting from getting the repository to having the first rule.
Wow.
Yeah, and doing everything live. And hopefully everything is going to work. I know he is able to do it. He did way more impressive things. In our company, so yeah, I completely trust him with that.
Completely trust him.
Yeah.
That sounds awesome though. Just giving you a hard time, but yeah.
Okay, well, since you mentioned it, I think we mentioned it briefly in the news last week, but you guys are working on your own conference in Paris. Is that right?
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah.
You want to tell us a little bit about what motivated you to start a new conference?
One of the things that motivated us is that we organize the meetups. And about each meetup, we'd had people coming to us and say, but when is the first conference in Paris about C++? And we would say, yeah, it's a lot of work. I'm not sure I'm up to do it. And at some point, we just snapped and did it.
Yeah, well. if not, somebody else would have done it, and we'd be like, very sad about the state of affairs. Now, yeah, it's something we have in mind for quite a few years now. Yeah, I mean, I think when Mathieu was still there, we were already thinking about it. And
Mathieu Robert. So.
Mathieu Robert, yeah.
Yes, that's the Parisian in Stockholm as he is today.
Yeah, exactly.
He used to host the meetup at some point.
Right.
And so it was all the time. It was like, we should do it next year, and every year it was next year. And this year we were like, okay, we have to do it now, even if it's a small event, which it will be, and see if it if people actually bites on it, and when we have that, we can start having something recurring. And so what we did was trying to see how we can get that running without having to leverage a huge amount of additional work, like call for paper and so on and so on. And one of Fred's idea was to actually say, hey, we can ask all these all those cool people we know from all the other conference if they can make the ultimate sacrifice to spend a weekend in Paris in June, this very complicated task, and help us, having something to present to our meetup members, and I hope a lot more bunch of people. So we basically coerce people to come in Paris, for free, giving a talk, and they all say yes. So done.
So have you actually said what day it is yet?
Yes, it's what day is it? 15th of June?
Yeah, June 15th.
Okay.
And the website is cppp.fr. And the 3 Ps are for progress, produce
It's because
and push forward.
it's because it's French and you always drop the last letter off anyhow, right?
Yeah, exactly. So we put a lot of P, you know. No, yeah, well.
The last one is
So,
silent.
yeah,
sorry,
exactly.
sorry.
And that's
So, yeah.
almost that.
I saw that on Twitter and I loved it. Yeah.
Yeah, it was funny. So yeah, the idea is we want something with different approaches. Progress is for people who start C++. They might be students or they might be people programming with another language already and they want to start using C++ better. So we have progress for them. Produce is for people who have actual production issues. Like you have huge legacy code, nothing is tested, your code is 30 years old. And you go to CPPCon and you have fantastic presentation about C++20 and how to templatize, do template metaprogramming, but you don't have even test or anything. And how can you join your day-to-day job and what you hear in conferences, which is very, very nice, but not always applicable to your job. So that's produce, which is way more. Yeah, we know you have a lot of code. We know you don't have test or you have very little test. Here is what you could do today that you can take from the conference. And the last is push forward, which is, yeah, the very fancy stuff you can do with C++20 and template metaprogramming, which we all love to see.
So am I reading your conference website right that the first P is as a French track?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that. Yeah. The idea is it's for students and we might have a lot of job seekers and people like that. They're probably not flying from the US or something. So we're probably going to have a lot more French people on this track. And that's also the track where we probably will have people who are not fluent in English. They can speak English, but they're probably not fluent. So we are trying this in French, see how it goes, and see if people like it or not. And next year we'll think about it again, see if we want to move everything to English or
everything to French, you know. Like. No, I'm joking. Yeah, it was a bit controversial at some point, but I think it's something we basically have to try and see if it sticks or. Yeah. I mean, and I think if people want to have a look at the talk later, I think the YouTube closed caption will be enough to get the gist of it, and I think it should be okay.
Yeah,
but we will see.
It's a topic that continuously fascinates me because I've watched like Meeting C++ used to have a German track, now it doesn't.
They eventually dropped it.
Yeah. The core C++ started with the plan of having in his Hebrew track, and they ended up reducing that or drastically eliminating it or drastically reducing it. And as I do training,
I think they still have a few Hebrew talks.
Yeah, there's a couple of things that are in Hebrew on now still, but it was meant to be like a full track of it, I think.
But then on the other, sorry.
No, go ahead.
On the other end of the spectrum, you have C++ Russia.
Right. Which has a couple of English talks and the rest is Russian. Yes.
I mean, I went there and I was like, yeah, you know, like it's just a C++ conference, but in Russia, and I think it was Gore that was there, and we ended up finding out we were the only two English talk of the whole things, and we were like, oh crap.
Yeah, I think now they have a lot more English talk.
Yeah.
If you intend to go this year, you'll probably find enough talks in English to find it interesting.
That's fascinating to me. Although I guess in Paris, even if you're hoping to attract people even from the rest of Europe, having English talks is the common language of programming effectively, right?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And a lot of fantastic speakers are English speaking, so not French speakers at least.
Not French, right, yes.
So how many speakers are you having for the conference? It's just a one-day conference, right?
Yes, we have 12 speakers.
Okay. And you said split up into 3 tracks?
Yeah, exactly. So there is this first keynote from January, where everybody will be, and then we have 3 tracks, and that should be 13 slots, but one will be a workshop, so it's not exactly a speaker, so we have 12 speakers.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. The plan was to start, small, but having an interesting lineup, and we will see how it goes, actually.
Well, it's both simultaneously small and big to go for 3 tracks, but only a one-day conference. That's ambitious and small at the same time. It's, yeah.
Yeah, we
ambitious.
wanted something. We wanted something that would give a good idea of what we want in the incoming years.
Right.
So this idea of having different approaches. So yeah, we needed the 3 tracks to really give an idea of what we wanted to do and make sure it works.
So how many attendees are you hoping for?
About 200, perhaps more.
That would definitely be a good start for the first conference, for sure.
Yeah, we'll see if we make it. But...
And the tickets are currently on sale. I don't think we've mentioned that.
Yeah,
they
are
are
on sale, and there still are a few early bird tickets. So hurry up.
You should actually have bought all of them right now. Like between we record that and it goes live, so we better sell everything.
Yeah, the time slot between when we announced and the beginning of the conference was pretty short. So the idea for the early birds is we have a limited number of early birds tickets. It's not a date where we switch to full price.
Okay.
We just have 100 people come in with early birds, and then everybody else has to pay for full price.
So just for the record, I cannot make it on that day, but Rob, I don't know if he's going to make it. My schedule wouldn't allow it.
I'm not sure what my summer plans are like. Maybe I'll talk to the wife about it. We'll see.
June
Again.
Paris. Paris.
Yeah, June in Paris does sound nice.
Just that, just mention that. That's how we got probably. I think that's all we got half of our speaker anyway. Paris, in France, not in the Mississippi or wherever, like the actual one.
Well, and it is actually interesting that you planned it for a nice time of year because, most C++ conferences and events and things happen at the bad times of year because it's the cheaper time to be there.
Well, that's easy. That's easy. There is no cheap time in Paris, ever.
Oh, okay.
So...
It's simple, yeah.
Well.
Yeah, no, the food. Don't forget the food.
And the wine, would say, Mathieu, that.
Yes, there will probably be even no wine at CPPP's lunch. I'm sorry about that.
What? Isn't that against the law or something?
You can go outside to a fountain or something, like...
Okay, slightly more serious though. I'm curious about the genesis of this because you said people are coming to your meetup every month and saying, when are we going to have a conference in Paris? And you said, we'll do a conference. But I'm curious how many people you had coming to your meetup in the first place. Like how big of a core group did you start with?
It started very small. I think the very, very first meetup, it was like, 3 years ago now? 4 years ago? I don't even remember.
A lot more.
A long time ago.
A long time
ago, we got like, I don't know, 30, 35, maybe 40 people every
for your first
month.
Meetup. Okay.
I mean, on
was
the...
a small one.
It was very small. And
I meet up. Don't tell anyone.
Okay, I won't. And then I think it was when we moved to, we get a new place and before Murex, which was Moby Skills. They had a nice setup. It was right in the middle of Paris, and we started attracting more people. I think we get up to 50, 60 regular every month.
It's really strong.
Yeah, and now we are at how many? 80, something like that?
Yeah, okay, so we are usually 80, but it depends on the place, because the limit is not, the limit is the size of the room.
Okay.
So we usually have an 80 people room, so we just send the invitation and everything is complete in 48 hours. But we could have a few more people.
Okay.
And we have actually very few no-show, actually.
Right. That really depends on the distance to the center of Paris. If you are in the center of Paris, you're full and everybody comes.
Yeah.
If you're very far, it can be harder.
That is,
and so...
Yeah, go ahead.
So, well, it's regular. I mean, that's where we wanted to be. We wanted to have something where we have a bunch of people coming in. We still have a lot of new people every time. We used to make some, kind of roll call, who never came and something like this. And we always have a bunch of new guys or girls. So that's actually pretty cool. And we have how many? I think we are approaching the 1,100 members on the Meetup website. So that's good. That's good. I mean, now the one thing we really wanted to do at some point, people started, but I don't know if it get very far. It's we really wanted to have something which is, and that's why there is no Paris in the name of the meetup. We wanted to be something that people can take and go elsewhere in France and make, I don't know, their Bordeaux meetup or their Marseille meetup and whatever. Some people started things like that, but I don't know if it goes that much well. But it could be cool if we could have more, let's say, localized, meetups in other big city in France. It would be cool because we have this.
Outside of France in French-speaking countries.
Yeah, also yes.
That would be even cooler.
There's other French-speaking countries?
Yes.
A lot of French.
More than you think.
No, what is I think French is like the 4th most common language in the world, something like that. It's
probably in the top 10, but I don't know.
It's very high, yeah.
Yeah.
Where's the first? I'm guessing it's not English.
No, it's probably Chinese or
Mandarin or something, yeah.
Yeah, Mandarin, yeah, probably. So yeah, I think Fred, you're okay with that. I think we are quite happy with what we have right now. We have this strong, community that comes every month or every time we have something. It's very lively. We still have to fight for finding speakers sometimes, but not as we did before. So it's going strong.
We have nice lightning talks.
Yeah.
And we'll see. This year we don't have time to have lightning talks during the conference, but the meetup lightning talks are interesting because there is this anarchic way of working where somebody is going to come and do a presentation of 10 minutes about their tool, and then they are going to sit and somebody is going to stand and say, oh, I was on drodball.org while you were speaking, and here is what your code is generating, and here is why. That's very, very interesting, I think.
Yeah, well.
I would really love if we could manage to do something like that in a conference. I heard ACCU's lightning talks are already quite a bit easygoing, where you can just say you're going to do a talk the day you're doing it and stuff like that, which is interesting. Mm-hmm. I hope in the future we'll be able to do something like that, where anybody can come and talk and have nothing prepared but just improvise.
Yeah. And it also helps, in what you were saying just before, by having these spontaneous people just, standing up, speaking about, like, I don't know, I should say something they just did 5 minutes ago. It also helps people to get confidence, say, hey, I maybe have 5 minutes of interesting content, so I can do it. And it helps a lot, actually. It helps a lot.
So you've said that the conference has taken a lot of your time to organize, which is easy to believe. But what have you been surprised by how much time it took? And if so, for other people considering making their own local conference, do you have any advice for them?
Prepare in advance and call the sponsors in advance.
It's like really in advance, actually.
Yeah, turns out sometime you call them and you say, "Oh, we have something in 2 months," and they're like, "Are you kidding me? We prepare that 1 year in advance."
A year in advance, okay.
Yeah, well.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that, and don't actually hesitate to ask the famous people you really want to have, because you may be surprised of who actually want to maybe willing to come, even at your very local small things. We are very very lucky this year because we have a lot of people we really want to have that basically said yes on the go because they were very interesting to come. And that was actually a very nice, interaction with them, which is rather different than just, talking to them when they are actually making a talk. So you should not, restrict yourself to saying, okay, they won't come because we are too small or too far away or whatever. Just ask. You may be surprised.
Yeah, I also had a message about that. Since we announced the lineup, we've had a lot of people telling us, "Oh, this fantastic speaker is very sad because you never called them, and this other speaker is very sad because you never called them." And like a lot of people that I really admire and are very sad I didn't call them.
Oh well.
So if we didn't call you might still be somebody we really look up to and who's a fantastic speaker. Please don't take it personally.
Nice from that.
Yeah. Well, the cool thing is that we are our CPPP 2020 lineup almost done. So
yeah, yeah, just with people sad that we didn't call them.
Yeah. Just for the record, I don't think you called me.
Yes.
I can show you on this. I can show you now. What are you talking about?
A very good example.
Yeah. The short list was actually heartbreaking to do actually because we had a lot of names and people said, oh yeah, we should have her, or we should have him or whatever, and except we have this much slots and we had to make choice. Yeah. And what actually made the choice was actually this this track structures about this street team, and we have to focus on the theme and see what's coming up, and from there we had to select people, and actually what we did that we actually ordered a bunch of speakers on some tracks by actually going, okay, we will ask this guy just in case maybe he will come, but if not, we have a lot of great people afterwards. And most of the great people say, oh yeah, I will come. So we never went that far down on the waiting list actually. Right. So it was actually, it was a very nice experience in terms of community to have all these people, willing to share their expertise even in, we are still a very small and proven conference. Including the fact that we didn't run already, so it's very a vote of confidence, and we are very very grateful to all our speakers for that.
Yeah, there's a good chance. I think ultimately I'll be speaking at probably 4 conferences this year, although I still have a couple decisions to make. And I'll say from the speaker perspective, 3 of those are because they're locations that I want to go to. So.
Or did that once,
Oh, sorry. You were breaking up there. I didn't catch that.
Yeah.
Oh.
No, it's okay. Is it?
You're back.
We're good now.
Okay.
Yeah, we kind of lost you for a moment.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You were too fast.
Yeah, you moved too fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was saying that. Yeah. It's a classical thing. The location is very important. So we actually played on that a bit.
Oh, I'm sure you did.
Yeah.
And so that's definitely something for anyone else who's considering a conference is the same kind of thing. I mean, there's lots of places that people haven't been yet and lots of people who want to go to new places that they haven't been yet, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we are lucky because Paris is very well known, but I'm sure there are some very, very nice places that are not that well known.
Right.
If you're creating your own conference, send pictures and think that it makes a difference for the speaker.
That's a very good point. Like sell the location, sell the venue, basically. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, aside from the conference, is there anything else you guys wanted to plug or talk about briefly before we let you go?
I'm sorry to people following QuickBench. I haven't updated for a few months. I have very good ideas in my head I'm going to do someday. Just after the conference, I'm taking vacations. I think I'm going to work on the website.
So for listeners who aren't familiar with QuickBench, do you want to describe it real quick?
Yeah, so it's a web tool. You go on this website, you type your code, you press run, and it benchmarks it. And it's a good way to compare quickly two functions, for example, which one is faster than the other. Yeah, it looks a bit like dotball.org because I looked at it before starting QuickBench.
Right.
And yeah, the idea is to have something very simple. You come, you type your code, you press run, you're done. You have your recipe.
Very good.
I have some very, very nice patrons who give me money to pay for AWS. I should do a few updates too, so that they don't think I'm forgetting them.
Okay, Joel, anything else you wanted to plug?
Well, not that much actually. Just come to CPPP. Come on. How many P are we saying again? Okay, well.
I think you had one
PPP.
too much. But...
Yeah, okay. And actually, well, it's not a plug, but I will encourage people to go to or build a meetup if they have none around. When we started, it was really, like, it wasn't a whim, someone saying, oh, you just, let's put something on Meetup and see who is coming. And it has been a tremendous experience, both in terms of, meeting people and having actually great talks from, basically nowhere. So if you have a Meetup right next to you, just jump up in and see how it goes. And if you don't, just make one and see who's coming, and you will be surprised to find that there is a lot of people actually wanting to go to such venue and sharing stuff with other people.
Right.
Yeah. Paris C++ Meetup had quite a few very good speakers now. Start there. Like Mathieu Roper started there. Jonathan Bocara started there.
It's an interesting core group of people in Paris.
Yeah.
Very much.
Okay. Well, it's been great having you both on the show today. I definitely encourage listeners to go check out CPPP.fr. Go check out the conference.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for coming on.
Thank you very much.